Is the UAE the best place in the world now in 2023 for high income or high net worth digital nomads? So a few days ago, I was asked by one of my clients whether I thought the UAE and the new digital nomad visa or remote working visa is the best option for higher net worth or high income digital nomads in 2023. And it's quite interesting because, as I mentioned on my last video, the Cayman Islands abruptly changed their digital nomad scheme, and now that scheme is no longer available. And online, a lot of the focus is actually on higher net worth expats. But when it comes to digital nomads, a lot of the content is for people who are making 1 or 2 thousand a month and are established themselves and so on, which is fine. But there actually isn't a lot of content for people who are maybe digital nomads or online business owners who are looking to reduce their taxes. And it got me thinking, which is why I've made this video. Now, before going into the details, if you're an expat or a high net wealth individual in particular, go over to adamfire.com and see how I can help you, because I've helped many nomads and expats and high net worth individuals over the last 10 years. Now, getting into this video then, obviously, needless to say, it does depend on your preferences. If you're somebody who doesn't like a hot climate, even with air conditioning and so on, obviously somewhere like the UAE probably isn't for you. Obviously, it does depend on several factors, but for a lot of people, if you're high net worth or high income at least, the UAE probably makes a hell of a lot of sense at the moment. And I'll tell you why it does. Number one, it's completely 0% tax for many people, or most people at least. What do I mean by that? Yes, there are caveats to that. If you're American or Eritrean, you might still pay income in your home country if you don't renounce your citizenship. Likewise, they are bringing in a 9% tax for certain local entities, but not all local entities. That's a 9% corporation tax. But in general, in the UAE, you can pay 0% tax. Whereas in a lot of the other locations, it gets quite complicated. So, for example, in Portugal with the non-resident scheme, it's called the habitual non-resident scheme or something like that. Yes, technically you can pay no taxes, but it gets very complicated. If you're working from home, usually, well, always actually, you don't qualify for that particular tax benefit. So if you're a retiree or you've sold your company and now you've got completely passive income, there are loads of options, loads of avenues for you to have 0% tax residency. But if you are somebody working from home, running an online business, for example, then basically there aren't that many options for you. And linked to that, a lot of the other countries that exist, like the Cayman Islands or Bahamas, what you will find is the government bureaucracy and the general pace of services is not very efficient. So I mentioned how the Cayman Islands has closed down their global concierge program, and they didn't even announce it to the general public. I actually had to find out through the back door, and it's only people living in the Cayman who actually knew about it. They basically haven't extended it, but they didn't bother to tell anybody. And that meant many people were calling up the Cayman authorities saying, well, what's going on here? And some people, even who worked in the government, said, well, it's the first I've heard about it. And that just shows you something, that when it comes to some of the Caribbean islands that have 0% tax, the local culture is a bit more laid back, which means when it comes to processes and doing things, things are going to be a bit more slow. I know several people, including clients, who have been to Belize and other places in the Caribbean, and they all say one thing: you have to be very laid back when it comes to these processes. If that's for you, then fine. But most people, I guess, whilst you might want the laid back lifestyle most of the time, when it comes to government processes and things, nobody likes delays and so on. Whereas I think what you will find with the UAE is, if you use a good agency and you speak even directly to the appropriate government agency, you will find things are super, super, super quick in terms of, let's say even if you want something from an agency and you ask for a few quotes for getting, I don't know, the golden visa or the digital nomad visa, it wouldn't be surprising to find out 1 or 2 hours later they're emailing you or they're WhatsApping you or they're calling you. They're on the ball. I think that's a key difference between the UAE and somewhere like a Cayman Islands and some of the other locations. So you've got 0% tax, you've got efficiency. You're also halfway between Europe and the Far East. So I think for a lot of people out there, it's going to be the best option. And in addition to that, there is reforms in the UAE. So every year they're making reforms. So for example, now I read online, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with this, they're getting rid of some of the alcohol taxes for a year. I think last year you can now cohabit with somebody you're not married to. They are liberalizing dramatically. And I think Dubai in particular, the UAE as a country to a lesser extent, but Dubai in particular, is liberalizing. Similar things are happening in Qatar too, believe it or not, despite what you might see in the media, but I think UAE more so. So there's a lot of things going for it. I think though where Dubai isn't good is that you do have to have a certain income, of course, to live well there. In terms of the digital nomad visa, you need at least $5,000 a month of income to live. That should probably be a minimum. Clearly, for somebody who wants to live comfortably on 2 or 3, 4,000 a month, there are better options. Malaysia's got a scheme where for 2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, you can live there. And there are parts of Malaysia you can live comfortably as a single person, or at least if you don't have kids, for that kind of money. So I would say personally, for all the faults that can exist in any country in the world, including the UAE, probably right now in 2023, after the Cayman Islands closed down their scheme, I would say the UAE is probably now the best place for higher net worth and high income digital nomad people, basically because low or no taxes, and in addition to that, the processes are going to be much easier. You could get everything done in a few weeks. You could fly there. You could do everything in 3 or 4 weeks. So that has to be a huge benefit compared to going through loads of government bureaucracy.
Depends on every person's individual goals, how much money they want to invest, how long they want to invest. And I did not have at all the feeling from any bank with which I had contact with that they were interested in these things. Whereas with you, it was from the very beginning obvious to me that you had experience in these matters and also were interested in what I wanted to achieve. Anyways, I'm very, very pleased and positive to say that I believe I've picked the right one. The results in the last couple of years have overreached my expectations by far. And I see no reason why it should not continue. Of course, I can highly recommend him as your financial advisor for now and for the future. Because hesitating is missing out.
So I'm investing a lot in the Middle East market, but the amount of returns I'm getting from there is very low as per the amount of returns I'm getting from the investment portfolio which you made for me. Obviously, the best result in market right now is Adam.